My concern is with global inequality and poverty. Today, in order to move forward on these issues, there will be very important strategies that will need to be employed. One of those strategies needs to be able to analyze where we've been. Where we've been is with a litany or a series of public policies that have assaulted particularly people of African descent. From the very beginning, since the policy of slavery, we've had a series of policies that have facilitated the moment of where we are, which is people of African descent in the United States, especially about 1/3 of our population is at the poverty line or less. So first, an analysis of the policies. Where have they brought us in? What do they tell us about our future? As we look closely at this analysis, we will discover that we need the global will of public policies to lead us forward. Heretofore, we've had what are called the Millennial Development Goals. Those goals have been successful, not as successful as it needs to be, but there are now new goals called the Sustainable Development Goals. These Sustainable Development Goals outline 17 goals and objectives and outcomes that come underneath those goals to help us get where we need to be around issues of poverty reduction, equality, and of course global solidarity. Happily, the United States government, along with governments around the world through the United Nations, have agreed to these goals. Now, contrary to the Millennial Development Goals, the Sustainable Development Goals include the Western nations. The United States, of course, is included in that. So the Sustainable Development Goals help us to envision a world as well as our own countries or the United States priorities. But we have to have the will within those governments to implement what has been signed and agreed upon with the Sustainable Development Goals. So how do we integrate those goals into our policies in the United States? Happily, there's also the Decade in Solidarity with People of African Descent. Now, this particular proposal is also a global forum for us to tell our stories, to give testimony, to contribute to how we may develop these goals in our various countries. This forum allows for people of African descent to also file grievances as to where our governments are not taking seriously the issues of inequality and poverty. My word is to encourage you to know what the Sustainable Development Goals are. Find ways to apply them in the various country contexts that we find ourselves. To evaluate public policies heretofore that have brought us to this very difficult moment of inequality and poverty. And to envision movements, voices, and most of all, prayers and faith to get us where we need to be. Thank you.